Hey there. I have a subject I think is probably going to be quite interesting for a number of you. They are currently developing something right now that you might call a nanoprinter. That would be a printer that can print out objects that are designed in cyberspace. I've seen diagrams of how it should work, and it seems very logical and very easy, in fact, once we can get that level of miniaturization down. There's one possibility that this leads to, which I don't know how many people have thought of it already. I know at least one person did. Don't remember his name. The guy who, well, basically, the ability to print out objects designed in cyberspace, atom by atom, molecule by molecule. There isn't anything that would prevent one from printing out people. Something like what they did in The Fifth Element, The Fifth Element. Remember that movie? How they printed out the messenger? We're in an era where that is becoming possible, which raises a whole slew of issues, dilemmas, issues, whatever you want to call them. Essentially, once the technology is working, functional, well, aside from being able to print out entire people, we could at least print out new body parts for ourselves. Maybe take the body parts we have, scan them in, fix them in cyberspace, and print them out. New hearts, new legs, new whatever. Effectively speaking, that would, for all practical intents and purposes, that would make us immortal. I'm sure nobody will live forever, but our lifespan will become indefinite, basically. We could die at any moment, we may not die, or we could choose to die at a certain time. But there are a number of issues to be considered with such a thing. First off, how would it achieve printing out an entire person? And one obstacle would be, as it's printing it out, the tissue that's been already printed out, you only have so much time before you can activate it, before it has to be alive and receiving nutrition, before the cells in the tissue degrade too much to function. A pretty simple way, I think, of overcoming that is to have the printer print them out in a vat of liquid, the kind of liquid that is in our cells in our bloodstream, plasma, whatever you want to call it. It thus would not need to even print out that liquid part. It would just print out all of the components within the liquid. And if it's kept warm and flowing through the tissue that is emerging, the individual being printed could remain alive the whole time, until such a time as they are activated. There might be a need to print out a sort of port with the tissue, kind of like a vent, to allow the fluid to flow deeper into the body as the thickness, more and more of the thickness is printed. But that wouldn't be that difficult. The biggest obstacle to doing that would just be storage space. You need a phenomenal amount of storage space because the person being printed out would have to be correct right on down to the atomic level. So, although there are probably algorithms one could develop, instead of actually storing the whole person, an algorithm of sorts that could cause the printer to print the setup that needs printed, even if it's not exactly like the original. I'm sure there are like fractal algorithms would probably be very helpful in accommodating that particular purpose. But once we're able to do this, it's going to have to be something we've got to decide. Do we want to allow private citizens to have access to these nanoprinters, or do they need to be restricted? Because you just think about it, that would be, if you could bring a printer home and print out anybody you like, and do whatever you want to with them because nobody knows they even existed, that'd be creating a lot of suffering. Or it could be. And of course other crimes that could be committed. You could murder somebody and print out a version of them that is convincingly like the original and more favorable to you. If you murdered somebody that is maybe in competition with you for something, you create a version of them that will lose. So there's all kinds of interesting things interesting possibilities that this raises, which kind of lends a whole new meaning to the phrase making new friends. Yep, 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 yep. Another possibility this raises is that once the technology is more or less perfected or stabilized, we would be able to print out organisms that we have made extinct. And in that, I know there are people who really disagree with me on this, but I think if we've made something extinct through our own carelessness, our own lack of regard for nature, then I think we would almost be obligated to bring it back. But that's just my idea. There's not a whole lot else I can think of to say on the subject, so let me know what you think. Thank you for watching.